37,000 targets, flagged for action. Not by a room full of intelligence officers, by a single AI system, running on servers, processing behavioral data fast enough that the humans in the loop had roughly 20 seconds per decision. That system was called Lavender. And what it tells us about any aliens advanced enough to cross interstellar distances is not something SETI talks about very much. What it tells us is this: if something out there is watching, the first thing they sent wasn't a diplomat. Welcome to Armored Geeks. Today, we are going full geek mode, and I want to be clear that by the end of this video, the phrase "we did this to ourselves" is going to mean something very specific. Because what we are about to cover touches military AI, electromagnetic warfare, and a question that nobody in the defense community wants to say out loud. Stay with me on this, because by the end of this video, the question isn't whether we're alone. The question is whether we handed over a targeting packet to anyone who was listening and called it science. Here is how Lavender worked. It ingested surveillance data on essentially the entire population of Gaza and assigned every individual a probability score. How likely is this person to be affiliated with a militant organization? Score above threshold, you are on the list. At its peak, 37,000 people were on that list. The companion system, called the Gospel, handled the physical targets: buildings, infrastructure, command nodes. A human analyst working that problem produces roughly 50 targets per year. The Gospel, up to 100 per day. That is not a productivity improvement. That is a different category of warfare entirely. The kill chain, classically, detect, identify, decide, strike. Lavender and the Gospel handle the first three. The human role was reduced to roughly 20 seconds of confirmation per target. Not analysis, confirmation. Ukraine. By 2024, the electromagnetic spectrum had become the primary battle space. Not the trenches, not the airspace, the spectrum. Russia's Krasuka-4 system can suppress radar, drone control links, and aircraft avionics across multiple frequency bands out to roughly 300 kilometers. It is essentially a moving bubble of electromagnetic blindness. And the lesson every military drew from watching it operate is the same. If you emit, you are visible. If you are visible, you are a target. The doctrinal response: stop emitting. Ukraine developed passive acoustic detection systems that identify threats without producing any electromagnetic signature, just listening. The most sophisticated military thinking in 2025 is converging on a single principle: silence is survivability. A lesson that humanity, collectively, has shown essentially zero interest in applying. Earth has been broadcasting continuously into space since the early 1940s. Every television signal, every radar pulse, every radio transmission has been expanding outward as a sphere of electromagnetic noise. That sphere is now 80 light-years in radius, containing several thousand star systems. We have not been quiet. We have been the battlefield equivalent of a unit broadcasting its position on an open frequency, and then wonders why it got targeted. As Neil deGrasse Tyson has pointed out, any civilization within that radius has already been receiving our television broadcasts for decades. They did not need the Arecibo Message. We had already introduced ourselves. Let's get concrete about what AI-first doctrine looks like at an alien scale. Scale Lavender and the Gospel by 1,000 years of development and remove the human entirely. What you get is a fully autonomous platform. No radio link to a home base, because a radio link is an emission and an emission is a vulnerability. Passive sensors only. It observes, catalogs and builds a behavioral model of everything in its operational zone. It does not transmit. The theoretical engineering term for this kind of platform is a von Neumann probe, a self-replicating autonomous system sent ahead of its civilization. Passive by design. Undetectable by definition. We would not see it. We would not hear it. We would simply be profiled. Which, given what we have been broadcasting for 80 years, is going to be quite a comprehensive file. In 1974, humanity deliberately transmitted a structured message into space from the Arecibo telescope in Puerto Rico. It contained our location, our population, our physical dimensions, our DNA, and the frequencies we operate on. A position disclosure document. What does the algorithm do with that? It does not need to send a response. It already has everything it came for. Some will argue that aliens advanced enough to build that kind of system would have evolved beyond conflict entirely. Consider the counter-argument. The Roman Empire was the most advanced civilization of its era. So was the British Empire. So were the Mongols. Advanced means capable. It has never automatically meant ethical. The civilizations most likely to reach interstellar capability are the ones that were best at eliminating existential threats. That is a selection pressure, and it does not select for gentleness. And even if it did, their morality would be downstream of a biology, a history, and survival pressures we have no framework to model. We would not recognize their ethics. We would not know whether we fell inside or outside their circle of moral consideration. That is not a reason to assume hostility. It is a reason to understand that the question of whether they mean us harm may not be a question they are asking at all. The good news is that indifference is not the same as hostility. The bad news is that it is not the same as safety either. We do not know if anything out there is receiving our signals. What we do know is that the doctrine is real. AI faster than humans. Silence as survivability. Those are operational realities, active in combat theaters right now. The SETI community's official posture is to listen and not respond. But we passed that threshold 80 years ago without a policy decision. The question of whether the Arecibo Message was dangerous is not really a question about 1974. It is a question about what the entire 20th century looked like from outside this solar system. We were leaking, constantly, loudly. Whether that is dangerous depends on one variable we cannot model: what they decide to do. What we can say is this: if something is out there, and if it operates anything like the systems we are building right now, it is not waiting for us to make contact. It already knows we are here. It has known for decades. The silence we are hearing may not be the universe being empty. It may be the universe being professional. Having said this, aliens operating at that level of sophistication did not accidentally crash a disk in the New Mexico desert in 1947 and leave us holding the salvage. That is extremely unlikely. The Roswell mythology was born in 1947, when our model of space travel was a pilot in a cockpit. That was the paradigm. You build a vessel, you put a crew inside it, you go. We were projecting. What the last 80 years of technology development actually shows us is the trajectory, from crewed missions to unmanned probes, from unmanned probes to autonomous systems, from autonomous systems to AI that operates without any human in the loop at all. We did not send a pilot to Mars. We sent Perseverance. A civilization 1,000 years ahead of that curve does not send biology across interstellar distances. It sends the algorithm. So the idea that we are reverse engineering alien bodies in a hangar somewhere is not just unlikely. It is the wrong category entirely. If they are here, what is here is a machine. And if that machine is doing its job, we are not aware of it because it chose to let us be. Was the Arecibo Message dangerous? Drop your answer in the comments. Go check out one of our other videos. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until the next one, over and out.